What's going on, everybody? It is that time of the week once again. We are back with some D&D and Chill. Yeah, so it's been a little while since we got together, hung out here in the tavern. Oh yeah, look at that. We got some new designs on our table here. So the new Discord logo for Kelf's Corner right there. It's got a big ass water bottle. It is good. Also, during the stream, I will be eating my dinner. So, I got some rotisserie chicken and Chinese food. That's how we do it over here. But yeah, tonight I don't have much planned. One of the things, though, that I do want to talk about a little is the new races that I recently created and getting those added to D&D Beyond, because it's kind of been a while. It's actually what this whole stream started as. You know, the D&D and Chill, or back in the day, Lo-Fi and D&D. It started out as a way just of me, like, being able to sit here and just chat with folks and do stuff that I was doing already. So I haven't done that in a bit. That's what tonight's going to be about. Also got some spells I'm gonna add. Spells that are from a collaborative project. One of the discords that I'm a part of was looking for collaborators, so I jumped in with that. And yeah, gonna add some of those spells that I gave to them. I don't know if they'll get published through them. That's up to them. I'm just gonna add them for my own sake, because I like them. And then potentially, as long as I have time, might be adding a warlock subclass that I made. Another one, actually one made specifically for a friend of mine. So that is possibly something we'll look into doing. And I guess while doing this, I can also go back into the advice corner and answer some questions. I gotta put my chat. Hold on. I keep looking up and seeing chat, and I hate that. Pop out chat. Reload that. Here we go. Is that a project you have mentioned? No, that is not. I actually don't know if that project that I've mentioned before is really gonna see the light of day. It's just kind of fallen off. It's not that there's any particular reason. Not that nobody wanted to do the project that it was, but more scheduling issues and stuff like that. So who knows? It might still be a thing. Possibly touch on it later on another date. And who knows? Maybe I'll even just take the helm. I've been doing a lot of my own creations anyway, so I could do it. This is good. Some Szechuan chicken. This is what entertainment's all about. Watching a fat guy sit behind a desk and talk about D&D while he eats food. Man, oh man. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is what you see here on the left. So, as I mentioned earlier, I really started getting into making my own content. And as you guys might, remember, I did a couple others. So, I did that College of the Crimson Curtain that was part of like a challenge, a query for one of the discords that I'm in. I believe it was Morvold Press. And actually sitting down with that and like giving it some time and thought made me realize, like, as a power gamer, as somebody who likes really taking stuff to the edge of their power levels for each level in game, I realized I'd actually be interested in doing my own stuff. So we did, I did the College of Dyslexia. I don't think I ever talked about that, so we'll ignore that. And I tried to do a Ranger meets Warlock. It was a Boy Scout patron Warlock, where the idea was that all of your abilities were Boy Scout patches that your patron would give you. It was this like Fey kind of natural guide that would give you badges. So it's like instead of having or just outright having the like Armor of Shadows that gives you mage armor at will, this was just like you would actually have a little badge, and that was your mage armor. So we talked about the Jimbro Warlock. We talked about the Path of the Court of Steps Barbarian. Kind of touched on the Dark Carnival. This actually got a bit of a change. We Jared and I talked about it. Actually ended up changing that last part from like the Crazy Powerful Wish to being more of like a dark finale. This massive black canopy drops down and all undead are risen in there, becomes darkness. It's just all chaos. So that was a thing. Well, we'll touch on this primal requisition on another day. That's still a work in progress. But what I want to touch on is the archetypal ascendance. So this is a project that I kind of took on myself, as I have been doing a lot of this, of my own works. Now, I've done spells, I've done magic items, and now I'm starting to do subclasses. And this has got me thinking, well, why don't I give my hand at a race? Now over here on Beyond, we'll look at some of the races that I've added to Beyond. You see there's not many. Even one of them is just literally a copy. But none of these are ever mine, okay? These aren't mine. These are all pulled from other sources. I think even only the one, this one here was the only one that was even any kind of like slight inspiration on my part. And that was when the Phantom 5 group started, and one of my players wanted to play Tabaxi, and they wanted to have a tie to like snow foxes. And so we came up with the Felnix Tabaxi. And what it was I think for go races, Tabaxi. Yeah, so if we look at the original Tabaxi here, you had that bonus to charisma, and we changed it to Constitution, so that was a quick swap. But one of the things that we gave, I want to say we left everything in. I don't think I took anything out from this, but just kind of gave them this triple layer coat. And it was that you have resistance to cold damage, and you're naturally adapted to cold climates as described in Chapter 5, which is under the extreme weather and conditions. Basically, it means even if you're out in like Icewind Dale and you're in the tundra, you don't have to make those con checks. Yeah. So whenever the temperature is at or below 0 degrees and you're exposed to this, you roll a DC 10 con save, or you gain a level of exhaustion. So it's real easy to pass them for the most part. But if you have resistance or immunity to cold damage, you automatically succeed it, as do creatures wearing cold weather clothing and creatures adept to naturally adept to cold climates. This is why in Icewind Dale I never enforce that. All the players either have cold resistance or they have cold weather clothing. And in fact, that's actually one of the reasons why in my last Rime of the Frost Maiden session, I brought up that Spellix Romwad, who had taken off his goblin-looking attire, was actually being more affected by the cold because he didn't actually have like full cold weather clothing. So, definitely, gaining levels of exhaustion for moments of travel. But that'll hit him eventually. What? Oh, fuck. No, it doesn't. I guess Felnix? I don't think... Wait, was Felnix something in another language? No. Huh. Oh, no, that's weird. But yeah, other than that, I've never made my own race. And it was something that I wanted to try my hand at. So I started to think, like, what theme do I want to go with? What's the idea that I want to try and design? What do I personally feel is missing from this whole ass list of races? I mean, there's literally 168 races, and even if we just look at the basic stuff, so like let's clear all of this out and let's just look at, say, the player's handbook and where's Mordenkainen. So if we're just looking at the two like main books, and I guess Tasha's, so because Tasha's only has the one, but if we're just looking at this, then we still have about 60 races, and some of them are sub races. Obviously if you're playing a dwarf, you have to choose between hill dwarf and mountain dwarf, but even with that, there is still well over 50 races to choose from. And I had this thought of like, well, what is my race is gonna be like what race do I want to create? And as I said before, power gamer, min-maxer, optimizer, whatever you want to call it. And so I had this thought of, well, what if there was a race of people, different races, that exemplified the ideals. It was the ideal form for a very specific kind of class. And I had initially thought of making one race for every class. Like, what is the ideal barbarian? What is the ideal fighter? And the problem is that when you start getting that into the weeds, you have to really look at subclasses, because, like, yes, a barbarian is built a very certain way. You know, all barbarians essentially function the same way. You're big, strong, brooding, you have high strength, high con, and you rage. But the flavor of your barbarian is going to be in your subclass, because an ancestral guardian functions very differently from a totem warrior, and a beast barbarian functions drastically different from a wild magic barbarian. And zealots don't die. That's one of their things. So I had this thought. I was like, that would have been too much, and I just would not have had the time nor the effort to put into that. So with some of the more recent UA stuff, I believe it was in here they started talking about it. Yeah, class groups. So this concept right here really started to interest me, of what are the class groups, because it's a lot easier to make 4 races than it is, you know, 12. And that was what I decided to go with. So I thought, okay, what would make a warrior? Like, what race would be the warriors? What would be the mages and the priests and the experts? And this I know includes the artificer, but whatever. So looking at each one of these, masters of combat who can deal and endure many wounds, stewards of divine and primal magic focusing on healing, utility, and defense, adepts of arcane magic focusing on utility and destruction, and polymaths who have the expertise feature and elements of other classes. So this is what I started to roll with. And when I started this out, I was just kind of like scouring the web for all kinds of other races. Like I was literally Googling like D&D fighter race, and seeing what other people had done, and like how some other people had, you know, built up these other ones, and, you know, started to really dig into what I wanted it to be. And what we came out with for the warriors, that was the first one I started on, because in my opinion the martial fighters were going to be the easiest. We got the Athalari. So when you think of an Athalari, think of like Adonis from Greek mythology. Think of Hercules. Think of, in real life, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even like Michael Phelps. You know, these top tier prime athletes that are the strongest, that are the fastest, that are the most enduring, that have the highest levels of Hercules. You know, the ones that can really withstand almost everything. And yeah, think of Glenn. That's exactly it. Think of Glenn when you think of these people that train their bodies rigorously. And because this works with the monk, it's kind of this idea of, you know, barbarians are these wild, crazy melee tanks. Fighters are often masters of weapons, and, you know, masters of certain combats. And monks are these spiritual fighters that are able to draw forth that energy that they have within themselves. So that's what I really wanted to go with. I wanted these to be a class where they could really take the hits and keep going, because in a lot of the subclasses you're gonna find more damage, you're gonna find more of the abilities and traits. And so with the Athalari, I wanted this to be about how they can really buff themselves up. So, as it says here in the lore, long ago, a group of human warriors sought to surpass their mortal limitations by devoting themselves to physical perfection. Through intense training and mystic rituals, they unlocked the potential within their bodies, becoming the first Athalari. Now Athalari settlements are built around colossal arenas where they hone their physical prowess and host competitions to showcase their abilities. Athalari society values strength, discipline, and personal achievement. They believe that a healthy body houses a healthy mind, again, that tie with the monk, and that physical perfection brings one closer to enlightenment, again, kind of like the monk. Athalari are often seen as stoic and proud with a strong sense of camaraderie and respect for fellow warriors. Again, kind of like you think, a lot of people think when you go to the gym, you see these like big buff gym bros that are going around and they think they're, you know, a lot of them are dicks and some of them are, but in a lot of cases, you're just out there like wanting to really build everyone up around you because you want them to do the same with you. You know, when you see somebody hitting that personal best, you know, you want to be there, you know, cheering them on because that it builds everyone up together. We kind of touched on appearance. Athalari have well-defined muscular physiques, and their skin is typically adorned with tattoos symbolizing their personal accomplishments. This was more that tie to the barbarians. Barbarians, especially Uthgard barbarians, they oftentimes have tattoos. Also, you can think of Goliaths. Goliaths are classic barbarian race, which was some of the draw to this. Dwarves and dwarves and Goliaths. So this was kind of, you know, like you fought a lion or something like that, or you killed a manticore, you would get like a manticore tattooed on you, or, you know, if you killed like a small dragon, you get like dragon wings on your back and things like that. They have a wide range of skin tones. Again, these were just humans that have evolved into the Athalari, with hair colors ranging from deep black to violent reds and golds, and their eyes gleam with a fierce determination, and the names are really drawn from that Greek and Roman mythology like I had up here. This very much was inspired by like Adonis and Hercules, so that's where we got the names like Leonidas, Spartacus, Athena, Artemis. I always say Artemis. It's Artemis. And then we have the racial traits that go along with it. Now, I'm aware that even myself don't use the predetermined ability score increases. I would never expect anyone to. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything kind of got rid of a lot of that. So I just have these here because when I was looking up other races, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna add it because it is still a common thing to include what is common amongst that race. So I went with strength and dexterity, and I'm not gonna lie, there is still a part of me in my original notes that I had on this, there is still a part of me that sits and looks at that and says it should be strength or dexterity +2 and constitution +1. There's still a big part of me that thinks that, and I haven't changed it yet, but this might not be the final form, because the more I sit with these races now that I'm like have more time to like not be flooded with so many ideas, this one is really like still sitting with me that I should have done my original version, which was kind of like the Versatari where you get to choose, but it would be a +2 to strength or dexterity, and then a +1 to constitution. So you might see that change if you follow the Kelf's Corner Discord. So the link, oh my god, I can't point to it, the link right there, or if you click the about button below me, you might see an update over there on the Homebrews channel with that change. I'm not 100%. The Athalari were the first ones that I made, and I thought they were going to be the easiest, so I kind of did them and then moved on. And after sending them out into the world and getting opinions on them, a lot of the stuff that food. Oh, yeah, there is food in my beard. Thanks. There's been like comments about like some of the abilities and stuff like that with the Athalari mostly. So I have changed some of it. Like I said, this I have not changed yet. But again, Tasha's Cauldron kind of handles that anyway, so it's not the end of the world. Racial traits as far as size and speed stay the same on all of them. Medium, 30 feet. I didn't want to deviate from that. I thought that it's kind of taboo to make a race large. It's not as a big deal to make it small, because I thought about making the Versatari small, because they're like more adaptable, but like making it medium or small. But I didn't. I just went medium, just kind of the whole way, just make my life a little easier. So the first of the so every one of these races has 3 core abilities or traits that goes with it that define it. The Athalari have perfection of form, or they gain advantage on athletics and acrobatics checks. I think that's fairly straightforward. Fortified vitality, this is one of the ones that changed. So originally this was body conditioning. Athalari have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons. I had that one for a little while because I kind of loved the idea of like giving it like a minor barbarian trait. But I had somebody point out that because it was mundane damage, it's super easy to bypass that with a magic weapon, so it becomes useless after a point, because like once you get 5th level and on, most creatures have magic and it's or magical weapons, so it's not a deal, or not really going to be effective. But also, if you are dealing with anything that is like normal physical mundane damage, you essentially are doubling your hit points. So I took that to heart and gave it essentially the same thing as Dwarven Toughness, where your hit point maximum increases by 1 for each level. But as you'll see, this was the 3rd race to actually get this kind of scaling feature. At 9th level, this bonus increases to +2. So now I did have somebody ask me whenever I posted this, that does not replace what you had before. So it's not like all of a sudden you gain, 8 on top of that, because you get like +1 for, you get that additional 1 for all your previous races. Basically, like if you have 10 hit points at first level, or 5 hit points at first level, and then you get that +1, +1, +1, +1. Once you reach 9th level, it is now +2 on top of that. So this also goes in line, I want to say it was the tough feat. Yeah, so tough was also one of the ideas behind this. So increasing your maximum hit points by an amount equal to twice your level when you gain this, and gaining 2 points every time. So if an Athalari barbarian took the tough feat, and like once you reach level 9, like if you took this early enough, you are gaining a shit ton of hit points right off the bat, and you're getting the fortified vitality. And if you were playing a barbarian, your hit die is a D12, so you're automatically starting with a 7+ constitution. So let's say you have a +3 to constitution, so you would be starting out as a 1st level barbarian with 13 hit points, which is like what maybe a 3rd level wizard might have. So I do find it kind of hilarious. You could make one of the strongest characters with the Athalari because of the fortified vitality, but that's the design of it. And lastly, not only do you get a ton of hit points, but you recover them even faster. So Athalari regain hit points equal to their level when they complete a short rest. So if you're a fifth level, you know, again, we'll say this is a barbarian, fifth level barbarian. You went out, you fought some things, you barely took any damage because you're going to have your rage resistance, you're going to have all these hit points. Now on a short rest, when you do that short rest, you're just going to gain 5 hit points. Maybe that's all you took, and because of that, you can save those hit die. I actually am working on feats. I have notes building about feats that I want to make that kind of tie to each of these races, and the Athalaris tie into their hit dice. So stuff that they're able to use that they can spend their hit dice on, because you know they're not gonna use them as much considering all of their health. All right, so moving on from the Athalari, we have the Mistari. They all have that Ari part at the end. That when I was trying to figure out the names, I went to a generator, and I just started like typing. I like started googling like names for races in D&D, and there was all these like things that ended in Ari. I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. That's it. So Mistari, as it says, are beings with inherent arcane prowess, born from the convergence of magical energies. They're a race of humanoids with an innate connection to the arcane, known for their shimmering, iridescent skin and eyes that sparkle with arcane energy. In a time when the world's magical energies were at their peak, the boundaries between the arcane and the physical realms blurred, giving rise to the Mistari. These beings were born with an inherent connection to the arcane forces, becoming living conduits of magical power. Mistari often reside in magical sanctuaries and cities where they study and safeguard the arcane arts. Mistari revere knowledge and magical understanding, dedicating themselves to uncovering the secrets of the universe. That they are naturally curious and highly intelligent, placing great value on creativity and innovation. They often form scholarly organizations and magical academies to share their knowledge and further their understanding of the arcane. Mistari have shimmering iridescent skin that seems to glow with an inner light. Their eyes sparkle with a myriad of colors, reflecting the energies coursing through them, and they often wear ornate flowing garments adorned with magical symbols and runes, with names that are mystical and elegant. This was like the one where I went and typed in wizard names and started getting this stuff. So it's like, you know, a bunch of weird like vowels following each other, X's and Y's, like some of those more exotic names. But with this, kind of the same thing with the Athalari, and what you'll see as we go along, I wanted stuff that was very much geared towards how this was seen from, you know, Wizards' perspective. Adepts of arcane magic focusing on utility and destruction. So immediately gave them intelligence and wisdom. Was pretty obvious to me that was what it was going to be. Then we have arcane affinity. So Mistari gain a +1 bonus to spell attacks and spell save DCs, and at 9th level this bonus increases to +2. Now this is not the original. When I first started sharing this around, looking to get ideas from it, this was one of the ones where if I can find my old note, wherever it was. Where the hell did that go? Here it is. What did I have it? Let me see here. Was this? Damn it. Oh, that's right. That's right. Mistari gain the original one that I had was that Mistari gain a bonus to their spell attack rolls equal to half of their proficiency bonus. So this was and it was gonna be it was gonna be so that it was rounded down. So basically at up until you got to 9th level, so if we pull up advancement here, so character advancement past 1st level, so basically from 1st to 8th level you would get a +1, and then from 9th to 16th you would get a +2, and then from 17th on you'd get a +3. Now it's not a big deal to actually have that, but when you consider that at this point, like, that +3 is actually doing a lot, and having that natural bonus kind of like wean itself off around 9th level. 9th level is oftentimes when campaigns are really starting to hit their peaks, and that, you know, because like most campaigns kind of fizzle out and start to come to their conclusions around 12th level. So having it be at 9th level, that's gonna be where like some big, you know, big battles are, you know, big climactic events. So that's where I want this powers to really like jump in and become more powerful. So getting that bonus to spell attacks and saves just makes these, you know, makes the casters, you know, so powerful in the damage they can put out, makes it a lot harder for enemies to avoid their effects. So love, I was very happy with getting that kind of reined in. Then we have Arcane Adept. You learn an additional cantrip and 1st level spell from any one of the mage classes, so wizard, sorcerer, and warlock, which you can cast once a day. So, and that's just the 1st level. You can cast the 1st level once a day. You just learn that additional cantrip. And finally, Arcane Recovery. Once per long rest, when a Mistari finishes a short rest, they can recover expended spell slots with a combined level equal to or less than half of their character level. So for what it's worth, this was kind of pulled from the wizard that has the Arcane Recovery. It's literally just the same thing, and that's exactly what it is. When you finish a short rest, you can recover these spell slots, and none of them can be higher than 6th level. This one is basically the same thing, but it does allow you to, you know, have that. So this is part of that natural adeptness to being literally magic. Like, these Mistari were created when the arcane web and the material plane bounced off of one another and came into contact, and they were the result. The Mistari are the ripple in the wave. They are the splashes that happened when those two you know, realms came together. They were the result, and because of that, they are much more adept at understanding magic, at utilizing it, having access to it, and also getting it back more often. All right, so that was the Mistari. Now on to the Celestari. These are the priests, so these are going to be the druids, the druids, the clerics, and the paladins. So the Celestari are believed to be the offspring of celestial beings and ancient spirits of the land, embodying the harmony between divine and primal energies. They are seen as living conduits of both divine and natural forces, and their purpose is to maintain balance and protect the sacred connections between all living things. Let's clear that. There we go. Celestari are said to have descended from celestial beings who sought to bring balance and harmony to the material world. As children of the divine, they serve as guardians and emissaries for their divine patrons, drawing strength from their connection to the primal forces of creation. Now, I'm not going to lie, there is definitely a part of me that sees druids as mages and warlocks as priests, and as part of that, this little aspect of, you know, emissaries for their divine patrons is kind of my like little point of rebellion to say that like a warlock would make, or a Celestari would make a great warlock. Celestari culture emphasizes spiritual growth, reverence for nature, and the pursuit of wisdom. They often serve as mediators between the divine and the natural world, and are revered for their deep understanding of both realms. Celestari can be found in various roles within their communities, such as spiritual leaders, healers, or guardians of sacred places, very much like paladins, clerics, and druids. That is in a lot of cases what these are. Spiritual leaders, you know, however you look at it, that is, in my opinion, kind of what a paladin is. They're a leader, they're charismatic, and they have that divine tie. Clerics are known as healers, and guardians of sacred places, oftentimes druids, become these grand druids and not grand druids, high druid? Can't think of the word. Like, there's very specific archdruid. Archdruids, they oftentimes like kind of settle into a place and become like a bastion for people. So the Celestari race don't have to be religious. Wait, so the Celestari race don't have one religious focus? No, that's a thing. Like, the Celestari aren't born from any like one celestial being. The Celestari were born. It's to put it in a word, or not to put it in a word, but to put it in a comparison. It's kind of like how on opposite ends of the earth, where land masses don't touch and creatures native to those lands will never meet, would never interact, and would never have any kind of ties, yet somehow evolve in similar ways towards one another, where they are completely different in how they have branched out, but maybe somewhere long ago there was a common ancestor. The Celestari were kind of that same way. The celestial beings, and so the celestial beings is more the divine aspect, and the ancient spirits of the land kind of giving rise to these beings. So this is why, like, I have it here under appearance, their skin has an ethereal glow, so that's more of the divine, but it can range from soft earthy tones like greens and browns and like tans to more vibrant hues of the elements. So kind of think of like Aasimar Ganassi in a way when you think about this. The Aasimar are these like unearthly, beautiful humanoids that have this radiance to them, and the Ganassi exemplify these elemental ties of earth, air, water, and fire, where the Celestari are kind of both of those connections in a sense. They are just more distilled down versions of what those two would make. So their eyes have this inner light. You know, this was the idea, you know, of the, you know, Aasimar style, but they have markings on them that kind of tie to what they really spawned from. So you might have a Celestari who has symbols on their skin, these markings that resemble feathers. They might have a more divine connection. They might have this more religious draw, whereas another Celestari could have a more natural inclination, have more earthy tones to their skin, and have vines that kind of crawl up their arms or leaf patterns on their faces. And then honestly, the names here that I went with are very much just Elven inspired. So melodious, celestial quality with natural elements woven in. So like the names of elements, like literally like almost like cadmium, going with callium, Elwyn, things that sound very elven, because that was a huge inspiration to this race, was kind of like elves. You know, elves are, if you took elves as a base and took some aspects of Aasimar and some aspects of the Genasi and funneled them down through, it's kind of the design that you get with it. But their abilities, their traits, is that +2 to wisdom, +1 to con, and then their 3 traits are that they have advantage on insight and either nature or religion. So again, giving the player that choice of, are they more divine, are they more primal? Elemental resistance, Celestari have resistance to one of the following damage types chosen at creation, either fire, cold, lightning, or radiant. So again, going with kind of how the Aasimar are, and the Genasi getting fire, cold, and lightning or radiant resistance to start yourself off with. And then at 9th level, because we've kind of been building up this 9th level with the Athalari and with the Mystari, you actually get to choose another one at 9th level. Each individual would always follow a god, though, or the choice of following. Anybody has the choice to follow a god in D&D. There's nothing within this that says that they have to. It is just that they have an innate tie to it. So kind of like the Aasimar are celestial touched humanoids, doesn't mean you have to follow a god. You could play, you know, an antithetical or an antitheist Aasimar, much like you could play an antitheist Celestari, and not follow a god, or maybe you refuse the aid of the gods and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you have those ties to it. Now, being that it is designed to be played in conjunction with the priest races, clerics do have to take on a domain. So when you sit down and decide that you're going to play a cleric, you have to pick a domain. Now, it actually is one of those things of, like, you're not actually picking a deity to follow, you're picking one of the domains that they are a part of. So let me pull up one of my favorites here. Let's pull up Pelor. Or actually, we can do Lathander. Let's look up Lathander. It's basically the same thing. So when we look at him, if we were playing a Celestari who was a cleric, for example, and he was, I wanted to go with the light domain. Well, one of Lathander's domains is light. Now, I could say, okay, cool, I want to be a light cleric. I want to spread the light to the world. That does not mean that I have to follow Lathander. That I could follow, so many ads. I could literally follow any one of these. I could follow a Monitor, who is, he's one of the judges. He's about law and order, but he still follows life and light. I could follow Coralon if I wanted to really, dig into like an elven style, because he's the all-father of elven gods. So his domains are Arcana, life, light, and war. Sune, the goddess of beauty and love, she also has life and light. So all I'm choosing is the domain whenever I pick that I want to play a cleric. But to say that you would be an eighth, like, you can refuse that the aid of gods, you can choose to be ignorant of the gods, but gods exist within the D&D lore. They literally walk the earth. I mean, there was a video I watched recently that was like, atheists within D&D are like the flat earthers of the real world. Like, you are literally ignoring reality. So you don't have to follow a god. And that's kind of why I wanted this to be also about the druids, because I could have made Celestari all about celestials and all about the heavens and the divine, but I wanted it to still have those ties to the natural world, to primal forces. So you could be your lineage for your Celestari bloodline. You could come from an angel or a celestial that bestowed upon the world your progenitor, and that has eventually led to your character. You could also come from a being that was created from literally fire, like innate fire, that was a being put there to guard a volcano or something like that. Or maybe you were your progenitor was somebody that was a guardian to like a sacred tree. So you can really like play this up however you want, and that's why it is for cleric, druid, and paladin, because being that you're a druid does not mean that you follow a god in any way. Druids have just a connection to the land. That's why all the druidic stuff is these various circles. You are mostly tied to like natural forces of the land and of creatures that you help, spores and stuff like that. They might not be from a lineage of family, but could be a complete... Wait, what? What is it? I don't know what that means. So, okay, so wait, are you saying about like playing a Celestari who is the first of their creation to be like brought, like they were not like the offspring of further Celestari? You're saying like some celestial or primal force created a Celestari, and that's what you're playing as? Is that what you're talking about? No, yeah. So it's kind of the same way for like Azamar, okay? You can play, you can be an Azamar, like there could be a celestial interaction within your family from time ago, and it has not manifested until your character. That's how my character Azazel was, the boy up there in the white. You could also have, like, for example, Albina in the P5 campaign, where she is a fire Ganassi, but she was born to human parents. There was something, though, that happened upon her birth that bestowed to her that fire, that Ganassi, those Ganassi powers. So her family did not have a lineage, did not have any interaction with, like, a djinn or something like that would eventually lead to a Ganassi in the family. She, like, something happened and she was like the first interaction with those forces. So you could very much be, born into the world. So if you wanted to play a Celestari, you could be born to human parents or born to, say, elves, for example, and you have this soft ethereal glow. They recognize that in you. You're not an elf, you're a Celestari. Whatever is that interaction with these divine forces or these ancient spirits have bestowed upon you certain abilities, certain powers and attributes and traits. But it could also be that you come from a family of Celestari. It could be that a kind of like Azamar or Tieflings or the Ganassi, your family could have had an interaction with a celestial being or an ancient spirit that is now coming out into you. Well, yes. So, I mean, Tieflings and Azamar function almost almost identically in their conception. They can either be born of tieflings, or you can be born to any other race and have, you know, have those infernal traits. Aasimar can be born to anyone and have the divine traits. Genasi can be born to anyone and have the elemental traits. That's why, like, tieflings, Aasimar, and Genasi are all kind of in that same bowl of, like, you are your own race, and you can be a fire Genasi born of 2 fire Genasis, or a tiefling born of 2 tieflings, but you could also just get that luck of the draw where something happens in the cosmos and you are now this. And you could honestly do that with this. I mean, the lore within this is only there for, like, were the bits and pieces that I was throwing into this. If you wanted to play a Celestari as I am a human and I am a cleric, if I wanted to play a cleric Celestari, or a Celestari cleric, I could say, okay, I was a human and I became a light cleric, and I did this ritual in order to grow closer to my divine presence and to my god, and I am now a Celestari. You know, you could really work, if you wanted to work that into some kind of in-game lore, you could do that. Much like you could argue, you know, I was a human and I am a pyro sorcerer. I don't think, I used to believe that there was one at one time in a UA, but yeah, there's no fire-based sorcerer. I guess draconic you could, but it's like, you know, I have this innate fire burning within me, and I did this ritual at the foot of a volcano, and now I am a, you know, I have been gifted with the touch of a djinn and have become a Genasi, or I've been bestowed the gifts of an ancient fire spirit and I am now a Celestari. So again, it's very much personal to how you want to do it, but this is the one that kind of has, like, there's a little bit of both of those worlds, and that's just because of how clerics and paladins work very similarly with the divine connections, and druids are more on their own thing. But there is still to consider when it comes to cleric, you do have the nature domain. You have the Tempest, which is natural forces and stuff like that, and same with Paladin. Paladins also have the Watchers, which is the Green Knights. These are the ones that, or wait, am I thinking of, wait, what the fuck is the green, wait, hold on. Ancients. Wow, I was way off. Yeah, Oath of the Ancients. So these are the Green Knights. These are the ones that are, you know, all about, you know, all about their ties to the land and stuff like that. They are, yeah, the Green Knights. So these ones are kind of like the if elves are druids, this is kind of like what you should be. So, or if elves are paladins, not if elves are druids. Elves are druids all the time. All right. So, like I said, elemental resistance, you get to pick fire, cold, lightning, or radiant, and then at 9th level, you get to pick another resistance from those remaining 3, but now you also get poison and necrotic. The reason I did this is because I wanted the first resistances to be the stuff that is more tied to the light of the divine and to the natural elements of the world. Fire, cold, and lightning are really those base primal forces, whereas poison and necrotic are the things that corrupt and seep into the world. And so you eventually get access to those resistances because you're kind of building your own internal connections to the light and to the primal, and really getting in touch with that and kind of fortifying yourself. And then lastly, Blessing of the Primal Divine. As an action, Celestari can touch a creature and either heal it for an amount equal to their level or grant it temporary HP. This was very much just built because all of these are healing type classes, literally is the first thing that they focus on. But I wanted it to be something where you could do this as like a quick buff to somebody in your party, and maybe it's the start of the day. Maybe you're out there trying to protect somebody. You can't heal anybody if they haven't taken any damage, so the ability to like give them temporary hit points of the same amount, in my thought, was a pretty good buff. And so with that, it could really be flavored however you want. Like we were saying before, you kind of go two ways with this. You either create like a divine shield around them, or literally you create like almost like bark skin. Like, I know that's a spell, but it's kind of like you create a viney mass that protects their body or something like that. So, and lastly, we're going to go on to the, wow, my mind slipped, to the Versatari. I was reading that as there was an A in between the R and S. I was going to say Versatari, but no, the Versatari. And these are the experts. These are going to be your bards, rangers, and rogues. So Versatari are a unique blend of various humanoid races created by an ancient archmage who sought to produce the perfect adaptable adventurer. These versatile beings are known for their expressive faces, lithe forms, and wide range of skills. What the heck is going on over there? The Versatari are the product of an ancient experiment by a powerful mage who sought to create the perfect adaptable adventurer. Combining traits from various humanoid races, they created the first Versatari, who proved to be as versatile and resourceful race. Over generations, they spread across the world, adapting to new environments and adopting a wide range of cultures and traditions. I know a lot of this is like kind of part of this. I created this like whole like headcanon of this old mage who he wanted to explore the world but did not want to leave his own tower for fear that he would die himself, and so he captured all of these people and all these like dead bodies and like combined their parts from different things, like taking the heart of a dwarf, the legs of an elf, the hands of a gnome, and doing all of this stuff and then creating these kind of abominations, but then knowing that they would be killed almost immediately. You send these horrific golems out into the world. He wanted things that could actually go out and serve him and become these great adventurers that could handle anything, and so crafted them in his own image, gave them these like thin kind of graceful bodies, gave them the skills that they needed, gave them the ability to learn, but created these beings to kind of go out and do his bidding, and as they spread out, their adaptability allowed them to integrate into all kinds of societies. They are really good at just kind of everything. They have a familiarity with magic. They have combat skills. They are good at healing and, connecting with the world around them. They're excellent with their hands. They're light on their feet. They're able to maneuver themselves. And it kind of builds into, what these expert classes are. Versatari culture is as diverse and adaptable as the race itself, known for their insatiable curiosity and drive for self-improvement, often becoming skilled in multiple disciplines. They value knowledge and experience and are always eager to learn from others. Versatari are often found traveling the world as adventurers, merchants, diplomats, or scholars, seeking new challenges and opportunities. Versatari are a unique blend of various humanoid races with features that can include pointed ears, elongated limbs, or even faintly glowing skin. distinctive patterns and hues on their skin and hair that can be used for effective camouflage or to make a striking appearance. I'm going to touch on that here again in a second. And Versatari are known for their expressive faces and lithe and agile forms. So, and due to their diverse cultures, Versatari's name draw from a wide range of traditions and languages. So literally anything you could really think of could be a Versatari name, you know, like something that kind of sounds, you know, more high fantasy, like Taran, Ramses, or Rasmus, having that like Middle Eastern kind of sound, Lysindra being elvish almost, and Jiro being more Middle Eastern, no, not Middle Eastern, wow, more like Chinese, Japanese, you know, Oriental ties to it. Now, one of the things that I will touch on is that, let me pull up my original notes again. I just had it and close it out. Asian, sure. Karatorian, if we really want to stay within the realm of D&D, actually. Karatorian is what it would be called, because Karator is like the Asian inspired lands within D&D. So the thing about the Versatari is, in the original Karator, this, it's so if this is a very, very large map, or not a very large map, so let's pull up the map, the whole map of Faerun. And I mean literally, like, we need the whole map. I don't even know. Yeah, here. So if we look at this map, for example, it's going to be super blurry. This is the Sword Coast. This is the Sword Coast. This is like what most people are used to, you know. Here's Neverwinter. You know, Icewind Dale is further up here. You can't even see it. Here's like the Anarok. This is like the Great Desert, and Baldur's Gate, and all of them are down here. Karator is like further east of here. I don't actually even know if I could find a map that would have like what it truly is. I mean, like, even this one doesn't have it, and this kind of has everything. But like further east of Morgom is Karator, and like it says on here, it's, where is it? Yeah. Yeah, so it's very much inspired on Asian, like Asian style. I mean, even a lot of the names are very Asian inspired. So if you are ever looking to run a D&D campaign in the middle, or in like that Asian culture, these are the lands to do it in. Oh wait, actually, I just realized I could probably look it up in, can I look it up in here? Yeah. I want to say it's, yeah, I want to say, yeah, it's like this area here. Yeah. Yeah, it took me a minute to pull that up. And this is also, wow, that's really zoomed in. There we go. So yeah, these these are the lands. This is the lands of Toril, of Aber Toril. So we pretty much got everything on here. This is where most of all D&D takes place. Like, Icewind Dale is here, Waterdeep is here, you know, Kalimshan Desert, Chult, the lands of what's up, Rendren? The Remembered Realms, that's right. So, you know, this over here, this is Karator. These are the, like, the Asian inspired lands. But yeah, that's the big old map. And it took me a minute to even think about it. I could have just, what I ended up looking up was map of Toril, which, if you did not know, the map of Toril is the land of, it is literally like the world of D&D. Well, let's turn that to normal. Yeah, there it is. Karator. So yeah, if you're ever curious about running a campaign over in that that part of the world, there you go. Yeah, so yep, Toril. And well, actually it's Aber Toril. You got to make that known. It is Aber Toril, because Toril does not exist in its own sense anymore. At one time, they Aber and Toril existed as two separate planes, or existed on two separate planes. Now they are one, though. So, but yeah, jumping back to the Versatari. So the racial traits for the Versatari is that you get to either choose, much like Tasha's Cauldron, you get to choose +2 to any one skill and +1 to another. Or this one does have the slight change to it. You can either get that, or you can get +1 to any 3 ability scores. Now, you cannot choose the same one. So you can't say, you know, I want to be +3 to strength or something like that. It does have to be 3 separate ones. And then their abilities is skilled. Versatari gain any combination of 3 proficiencies in skills, tools, or languages of their choice. So this could be that you gain a skill, a tool, a language, 2 skills in a language, 2 skills in a tool, you know, 3 skills. You could gain 3 languages if you want to go with like a linguist kind of character. You know, you could really jump into that. Yeah, very similar to how the elf was, how some of the elves were redone, but the difference with that is that this one doesn't give you that option to like change it whenever you rest and stuff like that. So where was it? Here it is, Eladrin. So yeah, with the stuff in Mordenkainen's, it was that whenever you finish your trance, you gain 2 proficiencies that you don't have. They can be with a weapon or a tool, and they are there until your long rest. So I did not want this to be weapon. I wanted this to be more towards what the experts are more known for, which is their skills and their tools and their languages, like their ability to influence and know things, especially the bard. Because in my mind, rangers are really based on skills, rogues are often based on tools, and bards are based on languages. The more languages a bard knows, the better they can influence people. The more skills that a ranger has, the better effective they are out in exploration, and the more tools that a rogue has, the more that they can do. Not saying that they can't all benefit from that, but it's kind of like the idea that I had. They also have the ability called quick thinking. This is that other thing where it's at 9th level, it increases. So Versatari have advantage on initiative rolls and get a +2 to passive perception and passive investigation. And at 9th level, this becomes a +3. So this is one of those things where I wanted adaptability. I wanted something where it's a race that's always learning, always, curious. They have their head on a swivel. That's why they have the advantage to initiative. They're constantly scanning their surroundings to take in as much information as they can. So that's why they get those bonuses to their passives. And then finally, adaptive learning. When Versatari gain a level in a class, they can choose one skill they are proficient in and gain expertise in that skill, doubling their proficiency for that skill. And this can be changed every time you gain a level. So with this kind of goes in line more with the Eladrin ability, where, it can change as you go along because your skilled is not going to change. But with this, it is one of those things of like, oh, I'm a rogue, and at first level I'm gonna take stealth. Cool. I'm super stealthy. I have this proficiency, but as you're playing along, maybe you will start to realize like I like having expertise in stealth, but I would really like expertise in athletics. Or maybe you make your character and you're gonna grab that expertise in stealth and maybe expertise in sleight of hand, and it's like, okay, cool, I can grab expertise in acrobatics or athletics and not have to have that extra bonus of like, I want to climb, I want to be able to scout a little bit further ahead. So that was where the idea is, because all the expert classes are based, literally it's in the name, of them gaining access to expertise where they can get double proficiency in their skills. So I knew I wanted that to be a core trait in the in there. Seems a challenge to explain story-wise the changes. No, I don't think it's actually challenging at all. You're Versatari. Your whole being is about adaptability. Everything about you is about change. You are not, when you play Versatari, you're not set in stone. You are a more fluid kind of character. You're not like changing your physical appearance like a changeling, but you are constantly learning, constantly adapting to the skill, to the world around you. So if you were playing a bard and you had, say, proficiency in persuasion and performance and even deception, but your party started to like really have to focus on stealth, it's like, yeah, we're leveling up. I'm gonna grab stealth, and I now have expertise in stealth. Awesome. You guys play a while where that stealth comes in handy, but then all of a sudden stealth really does not matter after a point. Maybe you were doing some series of quests where stealth was imperative, and that was how you were born. That's how you were kind of in there. But then all of a sudden, your party's no longer having to deal with stealth anymore. You're not really utilizing it as much as you need, but maybe now, as you're not using stealth, but maybe you need that bonus to athletics. Maybe now your party is traveling a lot more. Maybe you're going up mountains, you're going to be traveling into worse climates, or possibly you need to refocus in order to better support your team. If your party For example, as weird as this might be, I want to say that it's seahorses. Yeah, seahorses. So, wait, what? Thought it was. Hold on, let me look something. What is it? What is it? What is it? Yeah. I thought it was seahorses. It's apparently not. But there are animals out there in the world that can change their sex based on the needs of a community. If a bunch of males, like, and I looked it up, it was like banana slugs, frogs, certain fish. If a community of frogs suddenly has like a lot of their males die off, you can have the females suddenly develop into males in order to maintain the population and to continue that, that community. I'm not saying that Versatari can go that extreme, because again, that's to me more changeling than it is Versatari. But with this, let's say you have a cleric in your group, or you have a druid or a paladin, and they're focused on healing. Maybe you're a rogue and you don't really focus on healing or anything like that, but then maybe out of game, the cleric, the paladin, or druid, whoever your main healer is, maybe they have to stop playing for some reason. So they stop showing up, or maybe they want to change their character. Maybe they want to play a wizard, and so the paladin or cleric leaves, and so they go in, and now, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna level up. I can take expertise in medicine. I can't really heal you, but I will have a better chance of healing you, so that in case you go down, you don't have to make death saving throws. So something like that is an option for this race. It's it's not just by choice. It's not like, oh, I know we're going to be doing this, and so I'm going to take this, or like, because you can't always think of it like on a, we're going to be doing a stealth mission, so I'm going to stealth for a while. Like, this is levels. This is separated between levels. But it could be like, hey, the party needs a healer. The party needs some kind of medicine. Or maybe you guys don't have a wizard. Okay, cool. I'm going to grab Arcana, I'm gonna grab the Arcana one, and you play it up in character. Like, I'm gonna start studying all the magics that our characters are. I'm gonna spend time asking the cleric to explain how his magic works, and I'm gonna ask the warlock, or I'm gonna ask the ranger how their magics work and stuff like that. So, you can play it up however you want. Again, it's all about, literally in the name, the versatility of the character, having more freedoms and choices of skills, languages, and tools, being very quick at adapting to situations, and being that true bred skill monkey. So yeah, so this has been a big project that I worked on for a bit. I was really happy with it, how it came out. Like I said, this is available over on the Kel's Corner Discord. If you're curious, the link's up there, or you can click the about button below the stream and go to the Discord and pick this up if you're interested in it. I'm gonna add it to D&D Beyond here soon. Might not do it tonight. Kind of chatting this evening about stuff at this point. Yeah, so the other thing though that I did work on was actually something for a friend of mine, another warlock patron, very specifically a character from the whatchamacallit, the Witcher games, a man by the name of Gaunter O'Dim. He's kind of like shows up, offers you a deal, and if you take it, you were, you're kind of like to his beck and call. I think you said you were going to come back Oh, to the appearance on the Versatari. Yes, sorry, I did, and I forgot about that. So, right here, distinctive patterns and hues. Funny enough, the original design of this, let me pull it up here, was, I had originally typed in, their hair and eye colors can vary widely, and they often have distinctive markings or patterns on their skin. So when I whenever I started sharing this around to people that I was getting feedback from, this was one of the things that was kind of pointed out. And, you know, they pointed out to me, you know, would this, to have it where it's distinctive markings, you wouldn't want that to be for a rogue. You know, a rogue would want to blend in with their environment. And my thought on the distinctive patterns on them is kind of like camouflage. So this is part of that adaptability. If you're a rogue, if you're a Versatari rogue, and you are, you know, growing up in an urban environment, you might have like patches, you might have like distinctive markings on your skin that allow you to blend in with the surroundings. If you're a Versatari ranger, you might have these like patches of green and brown that is like a natural camouflage. But if you're playing a bard, if you're playing a Versatari bard, you could have these like wild patches of color to really draw the eye and attract attention, because bards want to do that. They oftentimes want to attract the eyes and attract attention. So that's why I eventually changed it to what you see here, where it's distinctive patterns and hues on their skin and hair can be used for effective camouflage or to make a striking impression. Like I said, that was one of the suggestions that a friend of mine said. Reminds me of a question I forgot to bring up. Well, I mean, you bring it up now. But yeah, so yeah, that was what I want to talk on. But yeah, so with this, this Warlock patron short, if it was skin is the map, what does that mean? Short, if it was skin is the map, I don't know what that means. I want to make a character whose skin is the map. Not quite like a tattoo. Not quite like a tattoo that is added to something more innate. New locations just sort of appear. I would say I would say that would be less Versatari, but technically speaking, nothing would stop a changeling from doing that. A Versatari isn't going to have like a Versatari might have their distinctive patterns change over time and adapt. Like if you're a Versatari who has lived in an urban setting for a long time, a lot of your natural patterns may be more blocky, more industrial. They might have more tones of grays and of like the buildings that you lived in, maybe like, you know, reds and stuff for like bricks, or the brown of wood. And if you left that setting and started traveling out in the forest, over time you might start to develop green patches, kind of like a very, very slow chameleon, in a way. So, but it's, you know, it's very slow, and it's less of like it's less of any kind of like symbols and stuff, things that you could like just pop up. It's more of like patterns and colors that kind of appear that are innate to your body, that either create like a camouflage or like distinctive patterns, but nothing that would be as, you know, as like intense as your skin is the map. I would say if you wanted to do that, a changeling could do that, because technically speaking, as an action, you can change your appearance. You know, like it says that you can change your coloration. So because of that, you could technically change your body to have a map on it. But it would be to your own knowledge. Like you couldn't obviously have a map of somewhere you've never been, because you would actively have to make it that. But there are plenty of magical tattoos out there. So technically speaking, it's not out of the question to say, you know, develop another tattoo that would be a map. That's not out of the question. You know, like I don't even know where that would be in here. Tasha's. I mean, specifically versus Tari, but you're chatting about appearance. Yeah, I would say if you wanted to do that, it would either be, you'd either have to be a changeling, or you would have to like, you would have to do like, you know, a magical tattoo. And it would have to be, if you wanted it to be any reasonable size, it would have to be very, very rare. Because like right here, 2 limbs or the chest or upper back. Like if you wanted to have a tattoo on your back, you know, of the land, then it's a very rare tattoo. And the thing to keep in mind is that that's going to be, you know, fairly expensive, you know, or just very hard to find. It would be, you know, very rare ink, would probably cost a fair amount. Let's see what they had here in the UA. Magic tattoos, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. These items need to be limited tattoos. They can be presented as body modifications, such as brands, scarification, birthmarks, pattern scales. Yeah. So yeah, I would say, I mean, you could have a map like on you if you say wanted to have it as like a birthmark. That could be a thing of like leading to somewhere. That would not be a big issue at all. It just wouldn't be able to change. But like if you wanted to have some kind of tattoo that would change like as an actual map, I would say that would be very rare, and it would end up costing you a fair amount. So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Just, you know, rather expensive. Because even if we look here, you know, of a spell rot tattoo, which is rare, not even very rare, which is rare, would be for a 5th level spell. And I mean, we're starting to get up into some pretty powerful abilities with that. So what is this? Tattoo coverage, is that what we just looked at? Yeah. Here it is. See if they have, oh, those are the Crook of Rayo. What? I didn't know that was on there. That's sick. Yeah, look at that. The secrets you seek, hero, is on my back. Now, make it, it'd have to be, it'd be like we need to get to this we need to get to this island, and it's claimed that you are the only one that holds the map, and it's like, yes, the map is on my inner thigh. You must rub it. What is this one? Illuminator. While this tattoo is on your skin, you can write with your fingertips as if it were an ink pen, and it never runs out of ink. As an action, you can touch a piece of writing up to 1 page in length and speak a creature's name. The writing becomes invisible to everyone. Wow, that's actually pretty badass. I never even knew that was a thing. Seduce me for the map as it's on my ass. Next always marks the spot. Yeah. As we dip into the stuff that's discussed in session 0. All right, so let's jump back to this real fast. So yeah, if you are like I was saying, if you are familiar with the Witcher series, you'll be familiar with the character known as Master or Mirror Master or Gaunter O'Dim or the Man of Glass. This is a subclass that my friend asked me to, well, my friend did not ask me to make. My friend brought this up, that this would be a cool warlock patron, and I was like, I'm gonna help you with that. So this is just more like a pet project. Nothing that I have a lot of ties to, but something that he was really looking forward to. Steve's also in The Witcher. Yeah. So yeah, show this to him. He might like it. The idea is, you know what else is cool? I don't, Aaron. You tell me, buddy. What else is cool? Yeah, I'll share it in the Discord. Thing you were, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's still got some work needing done to it. I did share that warlock patron in there, so I did actually think of some adjustments I might make to it, things to simplify it, things to maybe make it a little bit easier on the eyes. We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it later. But yeah, so the Man of Glass, I'm going to read out the flavor text here and then, give you the quick overview. Whispers of a shadowy figure, a force as ancient as time itself, resonate through the corners of the multiverse. Many know him as the Man of Glass, a being of immense power and cunning who can bend reality to his whim. It is said that his true name is Gaunter O'Dim, a name spoken only by those brave or foolish enough to strike a bargain with him. The Man of Glass is a master of deception, weaving illusions and manipulating time to turn the tide in his favor. His presence is often marked by eerie riddles, cryptic prophecies, and a trail of ruined lives left in the wake of his bargains. Those who seek his patronage are granted a taste of his power, but at a cost that often proves too steep. Warlocks who choose the Man of Glass as their patron are drawn to his enigmatic nature, the promise of untold power, and the allure of forbidden knowledge. They forge a pact written in the ink of fate itself and wield the essence of Gaunter's magic. While they may have the power to bend others to their will, manipulate their surroundings, or even control the threads of time, they must always remember that their debt is to the Man of Glass, or that their debt to the Man of Glass will one day come due. So the expanded spell list here is, I don't know why I have this so large. Hold on. Did I seriously forget? I did. I seriously forgot to throw on another. There you go. That was weird. Oh, I forgot to save it. There we go. So yeah, the expanded spell list, it's all about illusion and deception, and also creating unseen forces. So charm person, an illusory script, detect thoughts, phantasmal force, bestow curse, major image, compulsion, hallucinatory terrain, dominate person, and modify memory. All things that allow you to deceive, manipulate, and, you know, create these forces that seem as if you might be in multiple places at once. One of the things about this character is that he can actually stop time whenever interacting with you, and he can interact with the world. He literally takes a spoon and shoves it in a guy's head, like just literally kills this guy by shoving a wooden spoon into his eye while time is frozen. And then when he starts time again, the dude just falls over dead. It was pretty crazy. So there definitely was a spoon, and it was in his eye. Where was it? We pulled the video. It's ridiculous to see. Here it is. Yeah, we're gonna mute it. We'll skip to the very skip towards the end. Yeah, here it is.
That was the last time you interrupted me while I was talking.
He just starts time again, and the dude just falls over dead.
What the devil?
It's fucking beyond me. Yeah. So I will say, I did not actually play these games. I did a lot of research on this character, checked out forums, like looked into the stuff that he did. So we are very much going off of manipulation, illusion, and these curses. So Master of Bargains, starting at first level, you gain proficiency in persuasion. If you already had it, you get expertise in it. Mirror manipulation. At first level, you can use your action to create an illusory duplicate of yourself within 30 feet. This duplicate can move and interact with the environment, but cannot attack or cast spells or use any other abilities. It lasts for a minute or until you dismiss it as a bonus action. While the duplicate is active, you can use your action to switch places with it, teleporting to its location and vice versa. And this can be used once per long or short rest. So basically once per short rest. At 10th level, your illusory duplicate becomes more potent. It can now take one action on your turn, which can be any action you are capable of taking, including casting a spell. However, the illusory duplicate cannot cast the same spell or spells that you cast on the same turn or plan to cast. For example, if you cast Eldritch Blast on your turn, your illusory duplicate could not cast Eldritch Blast on that same turn. So I worded this very specifically because I would not. Now keep in mind, it's a warlock. You only have 2 spell slots anyway, but I wanted to make sure that this wasn't going to be abused. Like, I cast Eldritch Blast, at 10th level, and let me pull up. Eldritch Blast at 10th level is going to be 2 beams. So okay, let's look at it. Let's look at the 11th level. If you had it at 11th level, you're essentially able to cast it twice with that. If you were to have, say, Soarlock abilities, and you're upcasting it or something like that, I didn't want that to be so blatantly abused. But essentially, the idea would be, you can cast a spell, your illusion can cast a spell. They just cannot be the same spell. So, for example, you could cast Eldritch Blast, and they could cast Lightning Lure. Or, honestly, you could have them there on retainer to cast Mind Sliver. Like one of those things, or not Mind Sliver. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of, not Mind Sliver. I'm thinking of Silvery Barbs, but I don't even think they get that. But like, even in the spells, this kind of gives you those same abilities, because it's going to have the ability to cast a spell on its turn. And I should probably add that in there, that that it uses your spell slots if you cast it. So, or that it has one spell slot per. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. This is not one that I plan on like fully, committing to yet. This is one of the early, or not the early drafts, but like an early draft. Time ripples. At 6th level, you gain the ability to momentarily manipulate time in your favor. As reaction, when you or a creature within 60 feet makes an attack, ability check, or saving throw, or D20 test, you can grant advantage or impose disadvantage on the roll. Once you use this, you can't use it until you finish a short or long rest. If you are familiar with it, this is very similar to the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer ability of Restore Balance. When a creature within 60 feet is about to roll with advantage or disadvantage, you can prevent that. So that was kind of the idea that I had with this, of like a similar kind of ability where you're affecting time and balance. Then at 10th level, Odim's Favor, you can call upon Gaunter Odim to grant you a momentary boon. As a bonus action, you can ask for a favor, such as gaining resistance to one damage type, advantage on a specific type of saving throw, or any other reasonable request. The DM decides the exact effect and duration of the favor, typically lasting for up to 1 minute. Once you use this ability, you cannot use it again until you finish a long rest. And finally, at 14th level, Cursed Deal, you gain the ability to strike a dark bargain with a creature, binding their fate to your whim. As an action, choose a creature within 60 feet. The target must make a charisma save, and on a failed save, on a failed save, the creature is affected by one of the following effects of your choice. Weakened, where the creature's D20 tests are made with disadvantage for 24 hours. Vulnerability, where they gain vulnerability to a damage type for 24 hours. Or Bound, where they must obey one command you give to the best of their ability for 24 hours. They cannot immediately directly harm them or go against their own nature. On a successful save, they resist the effect, and a creature that resists it is now immune to these effects for 24 hours. So, also, if a creature affected by this ability dies within the 24-hour period, you can use it again. Otherwise, you can't use it until you finish a long rest. So, you use this, bound a creature, they fail the saving throw, you tell them to drop to their stomach and lay flat. And then you have everybody attack them. Because they have to do whatever it is for the next 24 hours. And telling somebody to lay on the ground, you get the ability back if you kill them. Yeah, because the idea of this is that you have this deal out there. Like, the thing about Gaunter Odim is... he does not give a fuck. That is the one thing I learned. He is malevolent as shit. Will make you favors where he doesn't lie, but he will play it to his favor. So with this ability, you could tell somebody, lay on the ground with your arms spread out, and like, that's it. And at that point, the creature is now prone, or you tell them, lay on the ground with your hands covering your eyes and your hand covering your mouth. They are now blind. They cannot speak. They are prone. And at that point, if you were to attack them, every attack against them would have advantage. And it would pretty much be over. So, I mean, it's powerful, and then the moment that they die, you regain that ability. Now, the key thing is that if somebody fails that, they're immune to those effects for 24 hours. So, but yeah. So this was, like I said, this was something that I spent a couple days working on for my friend. Took me a while more. Honestly, the stuff that took me longer to do was just figure out what the abilities were going to be. Like, I looked up, I started looking up like illusion, enchantment, spells, and like really started digging into what I thought could work. But yeah, I'm happy with at least, you know, how it came out for the most part. So, and my friend liked it. So that's what matters. But yeah, so I think with that, like I said, I don't really have anything else here. I'm not going to bring up the primal requisition because some we're still working on. But I think what I'm going to do is, because we've been going for about 2 hours now, I'm going to answer the couple questions that that Stacy put up in the advice corner to ask, and we'll let me pull that up here. We'll answer those real quick. There we go. All right. So the first one was from, don't know why I hate whenever it pastes like that. So the first one was from Tiamat's Tavern under the D&D memes by Ben Curry. And they said, curious to know how to handle combat when the wizard barely escapes with his life every time, and the paladin's high AC keeps himself pretty healthy. I'm struggling to balance combat for the group. Let me put it simply. It's not your job to balance combat for the group. I don't think it's to a degree. It is your responsibility as the DM to not make combat so easy that it's boring, and to not make combat so hard that your players can never win. What you need to do, though, is not concern yourself about the wizard barely escaping with his life and the paladin being healthy. That's why they are those classes. A wizard, if a wizard is barely escaping with his life, why is he taking so much damage? Are you targeting him specifically? Is this wizard up in combat? When you look at a wizard versus a paladin has a D10 in its, has a D10 hit die, and a wizard has a D6. Literally, if both paladin and wizard have a +2 to constitution, a paladin is going to have more health baseline and is also possibly wearing heavy armor, and a wizard wears just robes. They have no armor proficiencies. So the paladin is barely ever going to take damage and has more hit points. The wizard should not be getting up in combat unless they're playing something like a blade singer. You know, you can blade sing, you get a bonus to your AC, you gain extra movement style, but it is not your responsibility to worry about if combat is balanced for each class. If you balanced combat to try and take into effect all the different classes, guess what? Your party is going to figure out strategies around that to fuck over combat. Okay? You put a bunch of small minions in to like surround the barbarian in order to get multiple attacks on him to whittle him down. Guess what? The wizard's gonna fireball the barbarian and is gonna spell sculpt around him, or just not care that the barbarian's gonna take damage in order to wipe all of them out. You put in a really strong, you know, singular enemy at the far end of the battlefield that you put there for the rogue or for the ranger or for your, you know, or for like your range characters to go after. Guess what? Your paladin and barbarian and druid are going to rush that character and fuck them. That is how it is going to work. You should not balance combat to be based on their classes. You should base your balance of combat on the average level of the party and the degree of challenge you want there to be for the group. Okay? If your party does not think well and screws around and doesn't strategize, and the wizard starts dying and the paladin walks out without a scratch, that's on them. That's on them. They made bad choices. And in some respects, go after those characters that don't, you got a wizard that's getting up into melee combat and they don't have any good melee attacks. Cool, kill them. Teach them the lesson. Hey, you're a wizard. You belong behind the paladin. Like, that's your role. That's literally what you are. So yeah. How to handle combat. Please leave you out of this. Well, but that's the thing. It's like you can have wizards and warlocks and sorcerers that get up in combat, but you just got to be smart about it. I mean, I have seen wizards get up into combat. War wizards and blade singers can get up into combat and not have to worry about shit. If you have a warlock that gets into combat, you can if you have an undying warlock where they are literally built not to die, they can be up in melee. So can a fiend, or a hexblade. I mean, hexblades are literally built for melee combat. That's why they have a melee weapon as their patron, as their pact. A sorcerer is the same thing. You can play a draconic sorcerer and get up into combat and, have those resistances, or you can play a storm sorcerer and create those gusts of winds and those storms around you. There are ways to play it, but if you're playing, an enchantment wizard, or as everyone should be, if you're playing an evocation wizard, you should probably be hanging back. You should probably be focusing on your damage output, your blast cantrips and your AoE spells. Okay, those are what you should be focusing on. That's literally why you get like potent cantrip, empowered evocation. You're meant to destroy. That's your whole thing. That's one of those things where before evocation was the name, it was called the School of Destruction. So that's your whole thing. That's even why in Skyrim it's called destruction magic. So to answer the question, how to handle combat when the wizard barely escapes with his life every time and the paladin's AC keeps him healthy, don't try and balance around what classes the players are. Base the balance on the mean party level and the challenge you wish to offer. If the party isn't smart about strategy, then that's on them. If the wizard keeps dying and the paladin never even needs to buff his armor, sounds like they need to swap places. Nope. I play an arcane trickster and a blade singer multi-class. Yeah, that's it. Like there are ways to get around that. Like you can play spellcaster characters and be very hard to hit. Rogues are going to get cunning action. Uncanny dodge, where you can reduce the amount of damage that's coming to you. You can also dash and disengage and hide as your cunning action. Blade singers are hands down, other than evocation, hands down the best wizard subclass, like bar none. Like when you blade sing, you know, it's a bonus action. It lasts for a minute. You can use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You get a bonus to your AC equal to your intelligence modifier. So if you know, if you're not wearing any other kind of armor, or if all you have is, say, mage armor, where your AC becomes 13 plus dex, if you have a +2 to dex and, say, a +3 or 4 to your intelligence, if you have a +4 to your intelligence, guess what? You got a 17 AC. You can also disengage or you can dodge to give yourself to give yourself disadvantage on all attacks against you. The increased movement is automatically making you harder to hit because you can actually actively get out of melee range from enemies. You have advantage, you don't have advantage. You have a bonus to maintain concentration. So if you are up in combat and you get hit, guess what? You're more than likely not dropping your concentration, and you have advantage on acrobatics checks. Like, it's a great subclass. It's one of the best, and you get multi-attack too. So, and you can also replace one of your cantrips with those attacks. So yeah, I'm all for it. Like, blade singing arcane trickster. It's weird, but damn, that would be cool to see in combat. Not gonna lie, I'd be all for seeing that. That would be sick. Not only that, you're also getting the invisible mage hand too, so that would be cool. Shit. Haven't I? See, okay. Rendrin, what you need to do, and you need to tell me if you end up doing this. Try if there's anybody else in your party that has the mage hand spell. So if anybody has mage hand, I want you and them to try shooting an arrow with it, because mage hand specifically says that you can't attack. The hand can't attack, activate magic items, or carry more than 10 pounds. But nothing says that a mage hand can't hold a bow, and just hold it there in air, and have another one hold an arrow and put it up against that string and pull it back. Like, no one's actively attacking. One hand. I think it did happen. I think I allowed that to happen at some point. But if you get a chance, you should. If you have anybody else that has mage hand, you should see if your DM would allow that kind of bullshittery, because it's one of those things that's like, oh yeah, my mage hand is just holding an arrow, and my mage hand is just holding a bow. Thwink. You'd only get 10 pounds of force out of it. That is like one of the downsides. But I don't know. I want to say it did. I want to say it was either brought up or it was it happened in P5 at some point. Oh, true. Yeah, your bonus action does. Yeah, I would just try it out of combat. I use mage hand to apple 10 pounds of pressure to the enemy balls. Damn it! It can't attack. Enemy has mage hand and Smith does to. Oh! I use mage hand to apply 10 pounds of pressure to the enemy's balls. Oh. So wait, you can use the hand to manipulate an object. So I don't want to think about the fact of like, I'm like, no, I don't want to think about this, because then we're getting into like the gross stuff, and man, oh man, that was that is testicular torsion. Oh man, that would be fucking awful to have somebody attempt that. God almighty. It's like, I want to use Mage Hand to grab his balls and squeeze. It's not an attack. I am simply manipulating an object, and I am applying 10 pounds of give him the old dick twist. That's where you get into that, like, you know, you get into those moments where like players look across the table and it's like, are we safe with this person at our table? I don't know. Oh man. All right. So all right, so the next question, the answer is always will be no. Yeah. All right, so the next question that was asked was this was from Dungeons and Dads by Austin Slatton. I'm trying to make / balance a gun that siphons HP in exchange for powers and abilities. Anything you can come up with or have seen anywhere else? The final draft is meant to be a packed weapon for a warlock if this happens. I think that's just as simple as just saying that it's a warlock. It's a hex weapon. That's hex blade, just make it a gun. Same thing as what I did in my Rising of the Undying campaign with Rook and his character. Just make the pact of the blade a gun, and there you go. I mean, it's if you're trying to balance something that siphons HP in exchange for powers and abilities, that's something where you have to question, what are the powers and abilities? Like, what are the things that you're trying to give them? Are you trying to give somebody more spell slots? Are you trying to give them more uses of a skill? You know, is that the kind of stuff that you're looking at? Because you know, there's different ways that you could do that, but in order to really answer it effectively, I would kind of have to know, what powers are you looking to create? You know, what abilities are you exchanging this HP from? Because to gain, say, resistance to maybe like a damage type, that's a lot of HP, because, you know, now you're reducing your HP in half from that thing. So that's something you have to consider. Do you want to gain another spell slot? Well, it depends on what you're going to use that spell for. Like, do you pick a specific kind of spell, and, you know, you can cast that spell, you know, by sacrificing your health? I could see maybe it's an amount of hit points equal to 2 times the level. So if you want to cast a 3rd level spell again, you have to sacrifice, you have to sacrifice, you know, your hit points. Or maybe you really crank it up and you make it so that it's an amount of hit points to you know, once you have expended your spell slots, because warlocks only get 2 spell slots, well, up until a certain point. They do eventually get more, but you know, if you have it where it's like, you know, when you run out of spell slots, you can sacrifice an amount of hit points equal to the spell's level times your proficiency bonus in order to cast that spell. Because at that point, you know, the sacrifice is getting greater as you go along, because you're getting more hit points as you level up. So, you know, you want to cast a 3rd level spell, and you're level 10. All right, well, what will that be? Let's forget what I always forget proficiencies for some reason. So if you're level 10, you got a +4 proficiency bonus. You got to sacrifice 12 hit points, but you get a 3rd level spell. You get to cast that again. So maybe that's a thing. Again, like I said, in order to know this, you'd have to know what what kind of abilities you're working with. So we're going to put can't say without knowing the wanted abilities and effects, but if aiming for more spell slots, a simple equation, proficiency bonus times spell level, could offer a great scaling risk reward system. Because yeah, I mean, imagine that, you're what, your 20th level, you have 4 spell slots, you have access to your 9th level spell with your Mystic Arcanum. You want to be able to cast it one more time. You can't. So what do? It's 9th level. You got your +6 proficiency bonus. You gotta, you gotta sacrifice 54 hit points to cast that. Go crazy. All right. So let's look. What was the next question here? Roll's question regarding the Shield Master feat. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's get this formatted correctly. Is it possible to use the shove as a bonus action before attacking, or must the shove happen after the attack? So let's pull up Shield Master. There's 2 S's in there. It said ass. All right, if you take the attack action on your turn, you can use a bonus action to try and shove a creature within 5 feet. So is it possible to use the shove action before? Text is a bit confusing because it essentially states you're locked into tracking the attack action, but doesn't specify which. It actually does. It actually does. So here's the thing. The attack action is all kinds of things. All right. So when you take the attack action, you can, like it says here, swing a sword, fire an arrow, or swing with your fists. But there are other things that are part of the attack action. So for example, shove is that using the attack action, you can make a special melee attack to shove a creature and either knock it prone or push it away from you. So this is a special attack action. So this is saying if you take the attack action on your turn, you can use a bonus action to try and shove a creature within 5 feet of you. So it's ordered in the way that it is read. Okay. If you take the attack action on your turn, okay, so you have to take that attack action to then use this bonus action. Because if you don't take the attack action, you're not triggering this bonus action to shove. The reason why it is worded this way is, and why it's not more ubiquitous, or that it's not interchangeable, such as on your turn, you can use a bonus action to shove a creature and then you know, or it might phrase it as in like, instead of it having anything about the attack action, it could say you can take a bonus action to shove a creature within 5 feet of you with your shield, or it might even add like, at any point in your turn or something like that. But because of the design of it, if you were able to shove a creature, when you shove them to the ground and knock them prone, you now have advantage on all attacks against them. So the reason why they have it this way is so that it's not being just straight up abused. If you could take Shield Master, carry around a shield, there is no reason you wouldn't be using that bonus action to shove them to the ground first and then attack them, because that would immediately give you that advantage on the attack. It would be completely broken. So on top of that, you're getting that bonus to your AC. You're also able to take half damage. Like Shield Master, if you could take that shove action before attacking them, it would be completely broken. And that's specifically why it's worded like that. So yeah. Is it possible to shove? Nope. I shared because generally one of those things people can get stuck on, deciding of the intent and words. The specific question is less of a concern. Yeah, I mean, it's always one of those things of like try and look at it from multiple perspectives. That's always the way that I say it. Like, when you look at a spell or an effect or anything, like from a feat, and you're trying to decide which way is it meant to be used, always ask yourself, how can this be abused? Like, how can I read this in a way that it can be abused? And if you look at this effect, just this effect, it would be, if I attack somebody and then shove them, I'm not getting that bonus, but my allies are, okay? Or if I attack, I make 2 attacks, I could attack once and then shove and then attack again, okay, and get the advantage on the second one. But this is pushing them down or pushing them back, and that's, you can look at the way of abusing it, but then you also have to think about the opposite. Okay, what's the most restrictive way of doing this? And within there, you're going to find your answer. And at the end of the day, one of the best things to do is just literally Google sage advice. Like search up like D&D Shield Master shove before attack. Can the shield push be taken before an attack? No, you can't take a bonus action during another action. Thus, you cannot take the shield push's push bonus action until after you've used your attack action. Straightforward, very simple. And in fact, right here from the developer himself, if a feature says you can do X as a bonus action, if you do Y, you must do Y before you can do X. For Shield Master, this means the bonus action must come after the attack action. You decide when it happens after that turn. And there's people that don't like that. There's people that don't like that because, it makes it less combatively beneficial. So like here it says, so would a character with multiple attacks be able to take their bonus action midway through their attacks? Or would you have to finish every attack first? This tweet answers this question, but seems to contradict what you said here. And it says that this tweet is incorrect. So, but yeah, so this is one of those things. Now, I will say, honestly, I don't always agree with Jeremy Crawford. For example, let me pull it up here. Let me see. No, it's not that. It's a twinned. There's one that he's brought up before, and I don't agree with it. Yeah. So I think, yeah, here, I think this is it. So I think he weighs in on this, but basically, when you look at the twinned spell effect, and then we're gonna pull up Dragon Breath. Is it Dragon Breath? Yeah, Dragon's Breath. So, twinned spell, it says that when you cast a spell that targets only one creature and doesn't have a range of self, you can spend a number of sorcery points equal to the spell's level to target a second creature. So, because of that, Dragon's Breath is a spell that targets one willing creature and does not have a range of self. You can twin this, and that means that you could have two creatures out there shooting Dragon's Breath. So the thing is that Jeremy Crawford argued that Dragon's Breath, because this spell affects more than one creature with the exhalation, it can't be twinned. But you're not twinning this effect, you're twinning a spell that targets one creature. So to really rein this back to my original point, to answer this question, if you are ever looking for an answer to this, even in general, of like, how does something work, Google it, and at the end of the day, try and talk to the DM about how it would work. See you, Aaron. But generally speaking, most people online have asked the question before, and Jeremy Crawford might have answered it, but do what feels right for the table. So yeah. It just works. That's right, Todd Howard. It's that developer magic, baby. All right, so the last question that is on here, and then we're gonna wrap it up for the night. This is from Dan Gruber. It was paraphrased, and ask, would you consider doing this within your game? So this is more of a thing that you're asking. All right, so let me see what this is. At times, when it would be interesting, funny, or epic, tell your player to roll a d20. If it is good enough, they temporarily gain access to a feature they will soon acquire. God, the spelling mistakes in here. They will soon acquire, such as the next level feature, such as a next level feature. It can not only create fun moments, but can help show the progression between levels. It can only be used to help players out of a jam. So you're saying, would I consider doing this within my games? I really like the idea of having a chance to practice or try out, or have a story element of skills gained in the next level up. So I'm going to give you my short answer for this, and then I will elaborate. My short answer of would I consider doing this within my games? Probably not. I probably wouldn't. And the reason why is because when it comes... So if this was something at where it says at times would be interesting, funny, or epic, those are going to be very specific moments, and I feel like if you wanted to do this with one player, it would potentially cause other players to question why they might not get that same benefit if they don't end up getting that same benefit. So there's always the issue of balance. But the other thing is that you would have to know what effects and abilities your players are going to be getting in their next level. Now, I will say that I did do something like this at one time, and that was with Zash, with JJ's character, because he was playing his Tabaxi monk, and he was a I forget what it was. It was a homebrew one from Eberron, but he was playing a certain kind of monk, but he wanted to go more into the stealth and into the shadow stuff. And so when you guys were up in Neverwinter, I was allowing him to burn key points to use some of the effects of the shadow arts where you get those spells. So there was a point where he was up in a tree and he was trying to chase after somebody and didn't want to get seen. So we played it up where it was pass without trace, but I made it so that it cost an extra point because he was literally drawing forth these powers from the Veil of Shadows, also from the spirit of his brother, who was a shadow monk. And so it was, he also gained that ability to shadow step. But those were very specifically put in as story plot points to then allow for us to argue when his level up came up that he was switching from one subclass to another. So it wasn't just I was a, whatever monk, and now I'm a shadow monk. It was going to be this slow, gradual unveiling of abilities that eventually birthed into more of the shadow abilities. Now, if somebody, if you wanted to, if you yourself wanted to play into the idea of, building up to those next levels, that's really up to you. In my opinion, that's up to the player. Okay, that's up to you to role play that stuff, because as a DM, I don't know, like right now, if I pull up Smith's character sheet, for example, in the P5, he's level 10. He's a level 10 wizard. Off the top of my head, I could not tell you what a level 11 wizard gets, but he doesn't actually get anything other than a 6th level spell. That's it. He gets nothing else other than, not a 6th level, a 7th, a 6th. He gets nothing else but a 7th level or 6th level spell. So how would you do that with a wizard? Would you give a wizard suddenly access to a 6th level spell in a moment of need? What spell would that be? If we pull up all 6th level wizard spells, there's 32 of them. Even if we just look at evocation, there's 5 of them. Could Smith, in a moment's notice or moments of need, cast Sunbeam for some reason? that's a very powerful ability. And what resources are we burning through with it? You know, is he burning through a 5th level and a 1st level spell slot because he's casting a 6th level spell without having the ability to do so? Would he have to burn a 4th and a 2nd, you know, whatever adds up to a 6th level spell slot? It brings that stuff into question. You know, if we look at a ranger, for example, so if we looked at Iluna, going from 10th to 11th, you're getting your next ranger archetype ability. So as a beastmaster going up to 11th level, you are now, when you command your beast companion to take the attack action, it can make 2 attacks. Well, or it can take the multi-attack action. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Because we have already booned your character to have Swift Strike, that 11th level ability really isn't getting anything special. And that was something that we had talked about at one time. So you kind of have to question, like, what are these things that you are getting? Albina, if we keep in with P5 and we look at an 11th level cleric, they now also get a 6th level spell and can destroy undead that are CR2. So does that mean that if you guys come across undead that are challenge rating 2 and she turns undead, would I let her drop them all because, you know, she's not 11th level? I don't know. I probably wouldn't, because again, that would argue that if Smith wanted to cast a 6th level spell, I would have to let him do that. If Cephas wanted to use his relentless rage when he gets dropped to 0 hit points and makes he wants to make a con save to drop to 1 instead, I would have to let him do that. And then arguably that would also put the onus on me to say, okay, you know, now that you guys have leveled up, you know, consider what your next level ability is and keep an eye on that. And okay, but at 12th level, that's an ability score improvement. Could you argue that you're going to take a feat? So would you allow your players to start exploring feat options, or like would you have to lock them into something now? If, for example, you had a fighter that wanted to take the dual wielder feat, would you let them start dual wielding and give them like momentary bonuses to their AC or something like that? Because if suddenly their level up comes up and they're like, yeah, I really don't want to dual wield, I want to take I don't know, inspiring leader. Okay, well that completely defeats the purpose of that other one. I understand the idea behind this, you know, this concept, this, you know, house mechanic. I probably would not roll with it. It seems too loosey-goosey to me. Oh my god. Oh, what's up, James? Holy shit, buddy. It's been a while. How have you been, man? Oh man, you just brought a smile to my face. Oh man. Do a cameo, yeah. So yeah, but so going back to what I was saying before, about you know, about allowing players to get a preview of it. One of the things that I will say about that, like you said, an explanation of new skills when folks level up. If you yourself wanted to do that, then that would be something that I would do as a player. Okay, if I was playing a bard and I knew that I was 5th level, and bards are kind of weird. So let me, I don't know. Let's look at something else, because I mean, everybody's different. Okay, actually, here's a great one. Fighter. extra attack. Any one of the big melee, the melee ones who get the extra attack at 5th level. At 4th level, you could really play it up in game, in character, of your character off to the side when you guys are resting and you're practicing your stances. You're training with your sword to move faster. Okay, maybe you focus a little bit on maneuverability. You try and you talk about how you're trying to figure out this, you know, good spot to hit an enemy where you can get more attacks in at once. Then when you reach 5th level, it's, oh, I figured it out. You know, I got it. I figured out how to get this. And now you have those extra attacks, and you have made it part of your, you know, your character's growth and have given it that explanation. Or if, for example, you know that you're going to take a feat, maybe you kind of have your character planned out a bit, and you're going to take the athlete feat so that you can climb and run and jump. Maybe you're playing a rogue, you know, and you're playing a thief rogue or a scout, and you want to take athlete so that you can climb better, or so that you can jump farther and stand up quicker. So, you know, you're going to be able to take that at, you know, 4th, 8th level, whenever you get that ASI. So maybe you're 3rd level, okay? You have your roguish archetype, you have your cunning action and all that, and you're really trying to focus on, you know, this maneuverability. So, okay, cool. You're now, you know, when you're resting, when you're out and about, you know, you're climbing trees, you are attempting to run ahead of the party, and like doing push-ups. Okay, that idea of, instead of using half of your movement to stand up, you're like on the ground and like pushing yourself up with like one quick movement and then trying to like dash forward. Role play those moments out of combat, when you have those moments of like, you know, like, for example, if I ever say, you know, hey, you guys are going to be resting. Is anybody doing anything specific while you rest? Yeah, I'm going to go and spend some time, you know, just kind of like working out. I'm going to go and do push-ups, or I'm going to do burpees, or, you know, I'm going to go and climb some trees and, you know, really like work my legs and, you know, do some pull-ups and stuff like that. Then once you reach 4th level and you take the athlete feat, it makes total sense. You know, it's like, hey, yeah, I've been doing this thing. I can now jump higher. I can, you know, stand up quicker, and, you know, I can climb faster. So those are, like I said, I get the idea. I think it's an interesting house mechanic to play with. But I pick a character. What is Bo the Clown? Bo the Clown is is not fully built. As you can see, it's not even it's not even in Underdark mode. Oh wait, no, it's under appearance. It's hurting my eyes. Jesus. Bo the Clown is the D&D equivalent to my Pathfinder character that I'm playing, who is a bard. But over in Pathfinder, he's a Shuni. And in D&D, he would be a Kender. So in D&D, in Pathfinder, this is my character, Beauregard Bo Pawalski. So that's my boy. He's a pug people bard. Mostly a healer, you know, super weak, not that strong, pissed off essentially a Kenku noble one time, and is now on the run and makes friends with stronger people than he is. Yeah, I made him a Kender in this because the Kender are the, like, fearless, you know, kind of taunting characters. Yeah, I haven't fully built him out. He was College of Eloquence, so, which was basically the same thing that that Lakis Powalski, my Eloquence bard that I played, was. Kender are hated because, okay, I'll give you the understanding of why Kender are hated. So the Kender as a race weren't necessarily hated. There wasn't a mechanical reason to like really hate the Kender. The reason why the Kender are hated is because they were a group of essentially halfling / like gnomish style creatures that had this insatiable curiosity, and they didn't give a fuck, and they would take whatever they wanted, and they would taunt people, and they would make everyone miserable around them, because the race was in lore chaotic in nature. So if you had the kind of player that just wanted to make other people miserable, then you would play a Kender, because you could fuck with them and be like, well, I'm playing a Kender. It's how Kender are. So it was like one of those, you know, like, it's what my character would do, but as a DM you could say, okay, then make a new character. It's like, well, I'm a Kender, and it's like, okay, well, then I'm banning that whole race, because you're not going to be a dick, you know, just because the race is a dick. So yeah, that's why Kender are hated, because people played them like dicks. And I mean, even in this, it has that taunt ability. You can, you know, insult a creature within 60 feet of you, and it gets disadvantage on its attack rolls against other creatures other than you. Now in Pathfinder, this character, like I said, I made him an Eloquence bard. He is vastly different in Pathfinder. See here, Shuni bard, except. So yeah, in here, he's more of a healer than anything. So whereas in D&D, he's eloquent, and he's petty, and he's like silver-tongued devil, constantly making fun of you. In Pathfinder, he's a scared little dude who is just looking not to die, essentially. He's got some healing spells. He can make sounds and music and stuff like that. He's infectiously enthusiastic. And what else he got? Yeah, inspiring courage. He's got a whistle, and he has a horn, which I don't even think is, oh yeah, the handheld instrument. So that's his singing is him just screaming, because I know I've posted videos of it, but Bo can sing, Bo can scream. Yeah, Scamper Underfoot, where he can move around other creatures, create fascinating performances. Yeah, he's that game's actually starting this Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to getting to try some Pathfinder stuff. I wish that game did a stream. Yeah, nope, not doing a stream on that one. But yeah, so super excited to get to play him. Play Beauregard, Bo Polanski or Powalski. Here, I'll see if I can pull it up fast enough to give you the briefest of descriptions for him, and his backstory, his tumultuous backstory. Yeah, here it is. Bo Powalski was born in the quaint village of Morrowfield, Nestled in the heart of a lush valley, the Powalski family was well respected in the community with their unique crafts and their dedication to the arts. Okay, I didn't move. Here we go. As a child, Bo was surrounded by the creativity and beauty of his family's works, which inspired him to explore his own talents. Growing up, Bo would often accompany his father, Lakis. Now, again, as I said, if you know any of my old characters, Lakis Powalski was a bard I played, but this is a different one. This is a Shuni Lakis Powalski. So, growing up, Bo would often accompany his father, Lakis, to the village square, where Lakis would captivate the townsfolk with his enchanting stories. Bo was always fascinated by the power of words and the emotions they could stir in people. Similarly, he admired his mother, Kyla's ability to transform their home and their surrounding gardens into colorful, fragrant oases. Bo's older brother, Dova, obviously you can see all the connections, was a skilled craftsman who created stuffed toys for the children of the village, each toy imbued with love and attention to detail. His mother, Kyla, Kilae, as in the Lakis of Kaylee. It wasn't long before Bo discovered his own passion for singing. He would spend hours in the family's garden practicing his voice and experimenting with different melodies. As his talent for singing grew, so did his desire to share it with others. When Bo came of age, his parents encouraged him to attend the prestigious Silver Strings Bardic College in a nearby city. There he learned how to harness his voice and project it through a horn, an uncommon technique that set him apart from his peers. It's also there at the Silver Strings Bardic Academy, or Bardic College, that he met his closest friend in the world, a kitsune named Luna. When it was time for Bo to set out on his life journey, his parents gifted him with his rap. Let's pull up that picture once again so we can see the beautiful rap that is Bo. There he is. Where'd my window go? When it was time for Bo to set out on his life journey, his parents gifted him with his rap, a beautiful, intricate design that connected him to his family and his roots. As he embarked on his new path, Bo was filled with excitement, eager to share his talent and bring joy to others through his music. Throughout his travels, Bo performed for various nobles and their guests, his unique voice and storytelling abilities winning him favor and admiration. However, it was his performance at a halfling lord's estate that would forever change his course of life. Oh crap, lost my place. After inadvertently insulting a Tengu noble by the name of Lord Kazuki Featherwind, Bo found himself embroiled in a dangerous game of politics and retribution. Fearing for his safety, Bo left town and began a nomadic life, wandering from place to place, seeking sanctuary and new opportunities to share his music. He quickly learned the importance of making friends with stronger, more capable individuals who could protect him from the Tengu's wrathful reach. Despite the ever-present danger, Bo remained steadfast in his devotion to Shaylin, the goddess of music and arts. His faith and passion for his craft fuel his determination to continue his life journey and to share the beauty of his voice with the world. As Bo's reputation as a bard grows, so does the legend of the Shuni singer with the horn, a symbol of resilience and the enduring power of the arts. So yeah, that was the short and long, but I actually have a shorter version that I sent the guy who's running the game. Yeah, that was the main thing. So, yeah, super excited to give him a try. Again, it's my first time actually like really digging into Pathfinder, so looking forward to that. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for me tonight. We're coming up on 3 hours here, so I think that's probably the ties. Yeah, I wanted to have it to be Lakis to some degree, but I know Lakis was from another campaign and was a halfling, but I decided to go with the name. But yeah, the thing is, obviously I like talking, I like telling stories and stuff, so that was Lakis in there. But Kaylee loves gardening. She likes flowers and stuff, so she became a florist in that story. And Dova destroys toys and stuffies, so obviously he became a craftsman of them. But yeah, I think with that, I'm probably going to head out. Because like I said, it's been about 3 hours. It's about 12:30. So we got all kinds of powerful music in the background. Enjoyed hearing you explain how little pieces or knots from the fighter type classes and carefully blended woven together. Same for the other classes. Oh, you're talking about with the archetypal ascendants. I gotcha. Same for the other classes. Note from the start with the Athalari. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Like I said, it was definitely more of like an exercise in design for me. And it's I'm currently in the process of making feats and like spells that are a little bit more focused around that. Oh shoot, that's actually one of the things that I forgot to talk about. We'll have to bring it up next time. So I actually made a spell for every single spell level for a group. So we'll talk about that next time. So it's all tropical themed. I'll give you the details of the one. I don't even have it like typed up on. I have it just in a Discord note. But I'll give you the details for the one. Aqua Dart. It's a cantrip, and it's a 60-foot range, and you create a small high-pressure jet of water and launch it at a creature or object within range. Make a ranged spell attack against the target. On a hit, they take 1d6 cold damage and push it back 5 feet. So that's a thing. Share more in depth about your races. Yeah, I am gonna add them. I'm gonna add them to D&D Beyond. I'll probably do that later in the week when I have some time. I'm just losing my concentration tonight, so that'll be probably another stream later on. So but yeah, so you guys all have a wonderful night. Thanks for joining me. If you are curious to keep up with some of the stuff that I'm crafting, just want to talk to folks in the community, you can head over to the Discord. Links above me, or you can click the About button below to go to the Discord link in there. Join us over in the corner where we like to talk about D&D and video games and shit. So yeah, lots of folks over there hanging out. We got the new logo down there on the table. So spent some time painting that on there using a giant ass stencil. So yeah, it's not like the one that's right below here in front of the bar that was, hand carved, Kel's Corner, or like the placards over here that were there was, it's more like these over here. These are carved over here as well, just out of wood, or carved into it and painted. But that over there, that was stencils. That was hard. It's a big ass stencil on there. But yeah. So I will talk to you guys later, and I'll see you. If I don't see you before Thursday, I will see you Thursday for the first 15. So you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see you later. Bye.